All right, so the other thing I'm going to ask indulgence is obviously I've had a little bit of a cold. And so I'm going to do what I need to do to take care of myself up here. So I've got water, I've got cough drops. I am teaching with gum in my mouth, which is not my favorite way because, you know, we've all been slapped on the wrist for that in school, right? But it helps keep my throat moist so I don't go into a coughing fit, okay? So that's happening and I apologize for it, but thank you for your indulgence. So what I'd like to do is start us off with a little prayer. Thank you, God, for this place and this opportunity to grow together. Please make our days useful, our nights restful, our homes peaceful, and our efforts fruitful. Thank you. Amen. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Barbara Ingram Rice, and I am the Health and Wellbeing Coordinator for the church. And so I have the privilege of helping run the ministries of the Caregivers Pathway, the Palm down at the Palm Center, and Senior Wellbeing. And I have had a long career as an occupational therapist. I've been doing that for over 40 years now. And I feel like I've been preparing for this job my whole life. And so what I want to do is start out with a little, and you may not be able to read that from there, but it's a definition of occupational therapy that I think sums up what we're here to do. Occupational therapy is a quiet rebellion against the reductionist view of health, insisting that well-being is not merely just the absence of illness, but the presence of meaning, purpose, agency in every moment of our life, okay? So well-being is more than just not being sick, right? It's about having meaning and purpose in our lives. And so this whole series is built out of a workshop that I did. It's a continuing education course that I did for other occupational therapists. And I crammed all of this into probably about 3 hours. And I always knew it needed to be so much more. And so you get the benefit of the so much more. So what I want to do is let's take a walk through your notebook really quickly. Okay? This is a funny one too. The other reason we're here is to get out of our way, right? It's like these poor sheep can't get through the fence even though there's not really a gate. Like they could go around and get on with business, right? How many times do we put things in our own way to hold us back? And so that's what we're going to be doing as we move through this series this year. So first of all, you've got your notebook and you've got your name on your notebook. On the back is the schedule of what's going to be every month, and we'll talk about what comes next time when we get to the end of today. So in your little packet, one of the things I have, who remembers these fun pens from when we were kids that has like half a dozen colors? Who loved them? Yeah. So I found this great little graphic, and I just thought it was so perfect because what it says is if you combine all your skills together, all the things that make you you, what you have to do sometimes is focus on one piece that needs attention. And so a couple of things. One is coming from healthcare, you know, we were always forced to use black or blue ink, nothing else. These are fun colors. So hopefully you can have fun writing in fun colors as we take notes as we go through the year. But just be reminded that we all have lots of skills. Some of them need to be sharpened, and so we're going to pick which one to sharpen next, okay? The next thing is going to be your little firefly sticky notes. Who remembers fireflies? When was the last time you saw one? Yeah, exactly. Like for me, it's been like a number of years ago now. My husband and I were randomly in Williamsburg, Virginia, and I was a runner at that time, and so I went out for a night run, and I couldn't do anything but sit and watch because the fireflies came out, and it was so much fun, right? But Here's the thing about fireflies, or in the South we call them lightning bugs, right? Who knows lightning bugs? They give us hope and guidance, right? Their glow in the dark symbolizes light in challenging times, much like cultivating resilience and faith as we move through this series. They represent joy and wonder. Wonder what we can do next with our lives, right? Evoke feelings of childlike wonder and creativity and peace, okay? And then we've got our little bubbles, and we're going to use these in a little bit. I'll show you what that's for, but it's fun. It's fun. So our whole goal with this is to create, like, how many people have seen, you know, it's the first of the year, so everything out there is like, be a new you, transform yourself. Does that not sound exhausting? Like, I kind of like me. There's some things that could be better, but I don't know that I want to transform into something else. I don't know that I've got it in me, you know? So what we're going to do is we're going to take little baby steps. And part of the whole idea is to build systems, backup systems, so that we're more resilient as we move through our lives. Because what is resilience? Resilience is how fast you bounce back from something that tries to knock you over, right? And so that's what we're going to try to do, is start to build resilience. And so we're going to use the tree of life as our metaphor for this journey. We're going to look at the roots, and we're going to look at the trunks, and we're going to look at the canopy and fill all of it out. And you see, my little tree of life has little owls, because we're all going to be so much wiser when we're done, right? All right. So you've got tabs in your notebook. So there's a tab for each section, right? And so the first tab is what I'm calling the roots. And so today is really part of the roots, but it's just our introduction to what we're going to be doing. We're going to do a little bit of self-reflection to really get us started on the path. And so right now we're planting the seeds, and then we're going to nurture those roots by looking at financial health. And we're going to talk about what all of these really mean in a little bit. What is your life work? Okay. Strengthening your circles. What is your support system like around you? Creating your sanctuary. What is your home like? Is it inviting and warm and a place where you feel comfortable and safe? Okay, then the next section is going to be on the trunk. So if we look at the roots being more like your mind, these are things that if all of these pieces are in place, your mind is relaxed and you feel safe and secure, so you can then start to stretch and grow, right? So then the next section is going to be the trunk. So the trunk of the tree and the branches. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to look at nourishing your core, the art of gastronomy, right? We're going to energize your life, embracing an active lifestyle. And we're going to look at the rhythm of rest, embracing the Sabbath and, real rest, so that you can really renew yourself as you're moving through life. And, one of the things, we all look at Facebook, right? One of the things I read on Facebook is like, I am not signing up for this if you're scamming me into one of those things where I have to eat right and exercise. Maybe we'll just look at eating well and adding activity to our day. And then the crown is the top. So if the trunk is the body, then the crown is going to be our spirit. Okay? So we're in a wonderful place to nurture our spirit. But what about our intellect? What are we doing to explore that? What are we doing for creativity? What gives us joy? These are all the things that enrich our whole spirit, right? So what we're going to start with is the rings of resilience. So that's in your notebook, and I want you to pull out a pen, pick a color, right? And the rings of resilience You've probably all done some form of this, right? It's a scale, 1 to 5, okay? 5 being you're very resilient. 1 means you're struggling. So where on that 1 to 5 scale are you? And what I'm going to do is talk a little bit more about each section so that you'll understand what we're really going to be talking about. But today I want you to rate yourself on all of these. Next month I'll give you another one of these and we'll rate each section as we go to see if you, and then we'll do it again at the end and see if you change, okay? So our first topic is money, finance, right? Now here's the thing, I am not a financial planner, I'm not a financial advisor. My husband will tell you that's true. I'm not talking about high-level planning for retirement. And I'm not talking about low-level scraping the bottom of the barrel. Right in the middle where we all are. What are some ways we can do to be more efficient with our money? What are some ways that, we're spending money that we don't need to? Where are those weird subscriptions that we have that we didn't even know that we still had? It's going to be that middle of the road stuff. That every day, how can I keep myself from having too much month at the end of the money? Okay? So that's what we're going to look at there. So rate yourself on 1 to 5. Where are you on the money scale? So under money, just put a dot on the line. So 5 is resilient, 1 is not so resilient. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you put a dot. This is not so good, this is very good. So around money, put a dot in there somewhere.
Can money include also keeping track of it?
Yes.
Okay, because that's a little different than what you're saying.
Well,
so keeping track of what you're spending and
yeah.
bookkeeping, shall I call it?
Yeah. Bookkeeping, that could be part of it, sure. That can be part of it. All right, everybody ready? Everybody got it? You don't have to tell me. Okay, life work. How many of you are retired? Okay. So most of us. How many of you are not retired? It's okay if you're not retired. I'm not either. Okay, so here's the thing. Life work doesn't necessarily mean paid employment, doesn't mean your work. How do you spend your days? What do you have a passion for? Do you volunteer? Do you wish you did? Right? Are you strong in your life work? I know many of you are really strong in your volunteer services here at the church, and I know some people actually volunteer other places around town too. Are you a caregiver? That could be your part of your life work right now. Think about what your life work is, and are you satisfied with that, or do we need to stretch a little bit? So rate yourself on 1 to 5 on the resilience scale for your life work. Everybody got it? Okay. So the next section is going to be circles. And what do I mean about circles? Circles of support, circles of influence, circles of caring. So what are your communities? Are you friendly with your neighbors? Is your family part of your circle? What about church? Is it you just feel great support just by coming to church services? Or do you go to book club or a circle or a small group, or we've got the dinner tonight, dinner and a lesson. Better than dinner and a movie, right? Cheaper anyway. Huh?
Did you just say that isn't going to what?
We've got dinner and a lesson, and I said it's cheaper than dinner and a movie.
Oh, cheaper than
Okay, So are you solid in your circles? You know, I can tell a personal story. I am a caregiver. And probably about a year before I started coming to church here, I lost my two best friends that were my first phone call if something happened to my husband or to me, right? And I needed support. And that's how I found the Caregivers Pathway support. And so I have, my circle now has grown and bloomed, and I'm so grateful for that. So what are your circles like? Do they need to be more supportive? Do you, they say you are most like the 5 people that you hang out with the most. Is that good or bad? That could maybe influence your life work, I don't know, and other things. Okay, everybody got a score? All right, the next one is going to be habitat. And I chose the name habitat because our favorite places can be different. Home, hopefully, is someplace that's clean and safe and warm or cool when it needs to be. But, will enrich your soul. It's like after a long, hard day, it's where you want to be. Sometimes it's not, or maybe, there's a difference. Some people feel differently about owning a home versus renting a space. Sometimes when you rent, you can't do the things that you might like to do. But what are the things, how is your habitat, or how is the space that you spend the most time in nurturing to you? Because that's one way that we build resilience, is by renewal. And if you can't find a place that makes you feel comfortable and is relaxing and you can really just totally let go, then it's really hard to fully renew yourself every day, right? So, rate yourself on your habitat. Are you somebody that's a little bit of a clutter bug? Are you somebody that builds a nest around your chair so you don't have to get up too much? Don't ask me how I know about those. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about with habitats. Everybody got their habitat number? All right, the next segment then is going to be the trunk of our tree of life. And I'm going to start at the top with gastronomy. And I chose that word over food or eating or, I once heard that the people that write diet books eat to live. They don't live to eat. They don't understand the emotional side of eating. And how many times is food included as a part of a ritual or, and that ritual could be I meet a friend for coffee and a donut every week at a certain time. That's a ritual, right? Do I have to always find something healthy or, what? So when I look at how we fuel our body, what we want to do is look at all of the pieces of that, the emotional pieces, the social pieces, the habit pieces, because sometimes we just eat out of habit. I eat the same thing for breakfast every morning because I don't know what else to have, right? So that's what we're going to look at with gastronomy. So how do you feel about how you fuel your body? Are you heavy on the emotional eating? Are you heavy on the, I just want to fuel my body? All right. So the next section is be active. So I'm not going to tell you that you have to go out and run a marathon, or not even a half a marathon. They say, pardon me. Well, Sorry. How active are you in a day? How active are you in a day? As active as you want to be? Sorry. Ooh. As active as you want to be? Do you think that you should exercise all the time? Oh. All right, so what we're going to look at is ways to build activity into your day. So the whole idea here is not having a busy life and add another hour a day to have to do what you need to do, right? The idea is that you're going to fold activity into your day. So how do you feel about your activity? And then we're going to talk about rest. So we can have active rest, where we're doing something different, maybe something easy, but we're doing a light activity, or sleep, or rest. So how do you feel about how you're getting enough rest? Are you getting enough rest? Okay, then we're going to go up into the can. Okay. I am so sorry. So the canopy, what I've got is a little dry tickle. And you know how when that takes... All right. So canopy, we're going to look at wonder. What are you interested in? What makes you interested? What makes you wonder about the world? What do you like to learn about? This is where we're going to stimulate your intellect. Oh, sorry. So what is your score on that? Do you like to learn? What do you like to learn? Creativity. How do you create in your life? And I'm not talking about crafts necessarily, although that can be part of it. I know I used to love to do crafts, and I wasn't doing them, and I didn't like that. And I found a group of women that met once a week on Saturday morning. And so that's actually one of the things that I always do for myself to take care of myself. And so that's kind of fun too. So what do you do for creativity? It might be creating programs. You know, I know people that crafty things are not their deal, but creating programs and ideas is. And so that create amazing things. So, what is your creativity like? I've got one. Yeah, thanks. And then what do you do to nurture your peace, nurture your spirit? Do you pray? Do you meditate? Take walks in nature? What do you do to really nurture peace in your life? So this is your self-evaluation, okay? This is where we're starting from. So the next thing I want to do, and this will be good for me because you're going to be quiet for a few minutes and so will I. We've just taken a look at our whole lives and where we stand. You know, did you find anything that made you want to, it's like, oh, I need to work on that. Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a moment to let go. And we're going to look at grief, which is a weird thing to start with at early in New Year's, right? But it's not just about death, right? It's for other things too. What are, you know, it can be about people that you've lost in your life. It can be pets that you've lost in your life. Right? But what about friendships that may have ended? Or maybe you moved and you left some friends behind and talking to them on the phone isn't necessarily doing it for you. Losing community, again, that could be due to a move, that could be due to things happening within that community that you don't resonate with any longer and you've left that community. Missing the certainty that you once had. You know, so maybe we look at those roots and find out that there's some uncertainty there, right? Questioning your own judgment. Anybody do that? Yeah, you don't have to raise your hand. Realizing who you once were, right? Or releasing who you once were. You know, we're going to grow a little bit this year. Sometimes what gets in the way, what keeps us behind that fence that we saw earlier, is that we're a little bit scared of who we might become. It's like, will I know that person? Will I like that person? You know, maybe you want to lose weight, but if you lose weight, these 3 favorite things that I wear all the time won't fit anymore, and they're my friends right now, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. Like, that sounds weird, but it's a real thing. Feeling lost and unanchored, that can happen to us sometimes too, can it? Losing traditions that you once loved. We've just come through a holiday time of traditions, and as we grow up, that stuff changes, whether we like it or not. You know, if I could go back in time, I would like to go back to when I was 5 years old, but only for Christmas time. I don't want to like stay there and go through the whole rest of it, right? I just want to go back to when I was 5. Because why? It's magical. Now I'm the one that has to make all the magic, and it's hard, right? So, you know, maybe that's traditions. Maybe, you know, there's traditions all year long that we deal with. So what I want you to do is take a few minutes and you're going to write yourself a sympathy card. And so what you're going to do, your instructions are on your paper. It's in your notebook. It says, I'm sorry, right? As we grow, people and things come and go. Take a moment to reflect on anything you may have lost along the way. A friend, a spouse little by little because of dementia, the feeling of being part of something after retirement, So maybe you've retired, but you miss your work buddies. A pet, a favorite piece of jewelry, a tradition. So we're going to take a few and just let you write a sympathy card to yourself. Because sometimes when you start this, as you go through your day, something new will come up for you. It's like, oh, what about that? And I think the benefit of doing this reminds us a couple things. It's important to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And how much have we stuffed inside to try and hide it away because we're scared to let it out? Yeah. All right. How about an activity snack? Let's kind of do something fun. So in your books, so how many people have been told when you get sad or upset or worried, you should breathe? Breathe. In and out. And there's 1,000 ways to do it. Or, somebody says, just breathe. And it's like, or just pay attention to your breath as it flows in and out. Then all of a sudden you're hyperventilating because you're paying too much attention. Let's do something fun. Let's blow bubbles. Get your bubbles out. And blow. Who can be sad when they're blowing bubbles? Who can be sad blowing bubbles? Blow more gently. There you go. There you go. How long has it been since you blew bubbles?
Many years.
I know. Dollar store. So here's the thing is I bought myself a monster bottle of bubbles. And I started to keep it in my kitchen. And I'm like, okay, that's really ugly. I have this beautiful jar that was honey my sister gave me. How many of you have those beautiful jars at home that you hate to throw away, but you don't quite know what to do with them? This is my bubble jar now. So when I'm having that day, I'll go in the kitchen, pull out my bubbles, and just start blowing bubbles. Right? How fun is that? Oh, see, now you got it going. Now you got it going. It drives my bird and my cat crazy. All right. All right. So, we've learned a lot about ourselves so far, how we rate ourselves. We've looked at, things that we miss or that we're sad about. And let's just take another step into finding more about you, because at the end of this, we are going to write some tiny little goals. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But how can you write goals if you're not clear on who you are and what you want to achieve, right? So we're going to do an exercise called Be, Do, Have. So B is, who do you want to be? Okay? And we'll talk about this more in a minute too. Who do you want to be? What do you have to do to be that person? And then at the end of all of that, what will you have? And I think, there's, how many people have gone to goal writing things of any description or sat down and tried to write goals? They're hard, aren't they? Yeah? Yeah? Well, there's 3 ways to look at goal writing. three different ways to look at this be, do, have idea. And so you can, are you a victim? And then what a victim does is they look at have, do, be. So a victim mentality might say, when I have enough time and money, support, I'll do the things I always wanted to do. But the problem is I don't have anything yet. So they're still waiting on external things to change so that they have the resources to do what they want to do. Then you have the worker. And the worker is someone who uses more of a do, have, be mentality. So with a worker, it's like the more I do, the more I'll have. And the more I'll have, the more likely I'll be happy. But what's the downside to that?
You never have enough.
Right, you never have enough. You never get there. There's always so much more to do. And then there's so much more to have, because if you say, oh, that looks interesting in front of your phone, Facebook is going to be filled with ads about that thing, right? All the wonders of the world. And so that can really be exhausting. So what I would challenge you to do is focus on the winner mentality, which is be, do, have. So who do you have to be? Who do you want to be? And I really want to challenge you, and we're going to do this exercise in just a minute. We all know you want to be kind and loving and empathetic and honest and trustworthy and, prayerful, and we know that about you because you're here. Okay? But what does that look like in your life? Okay? One of my goals might have been that I want to be someone that can be comfortable giving a prayer in public. Guess what? Y'all helped me with my goal today. Thank you. Okay? That's one of my goals. It's like, I've heard people talk about public speaking. It's like she was so shy she couldn't lead silent prayer. And it's like, I'm the other way. I can lead silent prayer all day long. It's saying the words, and I'm always worried that I'm going to say the wrong thing. But did I say the wrong thing? I don't know. So I want to challenge you to expand that from being kind, loving, and trusting. Okay, we know that about you. What does that look like for you? Who do you want to be? And then the next piece of that is, what do you have to do to be that person? What do I have to do to be that person that can say a prayer out loud in public? I have to do it. I have to give myself some support. I had it written here. True confession. But I wrote it. Right? And then what will you have at the end of that? Like if you get the be and the do right, the have will take care of itself. Because if you're like me, I've got all the stuff I need. What I need is that peace and feeling of support and, that kind of stuff. So take a few minutes and write down take a few minutes to write down who you want to be, what do you have to do to be that, and then what will you have when it comes down to it. Pick one, get started. I know, it's hard. It's hard. I just got back from my professional state association conference, and all the amazing things that therapists are doing out there in the world, and I'm like, I'd love to do that and that and that and that. And I'm like, I don't have the energy to do all of that anymore. But I'm so excited that there are therapists out there that are.
That's my biggest problem, is deciding which thing. So you have to give something up that you really.
Here's the thing, though, is sometimes something that you think you really want, you get in the middle of it and it's like, yeah, no, that's not really what I thought it was going to be. And so And like your pen, can you do it all at once? Can you do all the colors at one time? No.
No, but it's really hard to not do all those wonderful things.
Well,
I'm a musician,
okay,
but I want to be a good friend.
okay,
I have a lot of friends that have lost husbands, so
right,
you have to spend a good amount of time. But you can't just like invite them all over at the same time. And you're
right,
done.
right,
You have to be available.
right,
Remember to text them and anniversaries and time for them
right,
to be sad
right,
and invite them to dinner so that they're not just because they're not a couple anymore. You know, all that kind of stuff. And then
right,
I want to do something that goes with what my career was because I want to give back, but I also want to spend time studying the Bible. But there's just, and then I want to do crafts and quilt and well, and then hike and get out and exercise.
Okay, but you're not going to do all of those things at one time. Maybe pick 2 or 3. You know, like the friendship piece is an ongoing thing.
Yeah, all of them are.
Yeah, well, they all are, but you know,
I run out of time at the end of the week.
I know, I know.
So I don't clean and other things that you have to do whether you want to be doing any of that
Right,
or not.
right.
Yeah, that's the problem. I need a.
I know. That's why we're here. We're gonna, yeah. A mom, a chef, yeah. All right. Anybody else? Yeah, that's good. I'm there with you. Trust me. All right. So now that we've dug in a little bit, let's talk a little bit about goals. You knew this had to come, didn't you? I'm going to make it really easy for you, though. Part of what we're going to do is pick up something really simple to do, so it can be aligned with the B part and trying to figure things out. Who's heard of SMART goals?
Would you repeat that, please?
Who has heard of SMART goals?
Smart goal.
All right. So there's 2 different types of goals. So let's look at SMART goals first. I've been beat over my head with this one for all my life. So SMART is an acronym, and it stands for, S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for achievable, R stands for relevant, and T stands for time-based. So specific. Specifically, what do you want to do? How will you know that you did it? It's got to be achievable. Can you really do that? You know, can you really do 6 things and be happy? Is it relevant? So is it relevant to who you want to be? And it's time-based, so it's got to be done by a certain time. So that's what a SMART goal is. Does that feel exhausting to anybody else but me? Like, that's just too much work, isn't it? You know, it's like you get lost. So you write these wonderful, big, fancy SMART goals. And then by the time you get the goal written and you figure out what it actually means, your time frame's over. Like, I don't know about you, but time just seems like it's flying by right now, right? And then you feel bad because you didn't meet your goal.
I got a really funny story because I belong to like a lot of golf training clubs groups, and we had to set SMART goals for our golf.
Oh, okay. Oh.
We had a seminar
Oh.
how to do SMART goals for our golf. That's why I wrote the SMART goals.
SMART goals for golf?
We had a whole thing on that.
Oh my gosh. And how did it go?
Oh, it's very good. It's great training.
Did you use it?
Well, I'm hoping to use it more this year.
Yeah. Hoping to use it more this year. Right. All right, let's look at, oops, hit too fast. Let's shorten that up. Make a pact with yourself. So we're going to make our goals purposeful. We're going to make our goals achievable. We're going to make our goals relevant. And we're going to make our goals time-based. So SMART goals for golf. It's meaningful for what you need to do. Actionable, you can actually do it. Consistent, you can do it consistently. And it's trackable. Okay, you can track that you've actually done it. So an example of a goal that I did for myself, at one point, I really wanted a KitchenAid stand mixer. Didn't know why, but I just thought they were cool and they looked like they were fun, and maybe I'd make more good things if I... But they're $300. So what I did was my whole purpose in that was that I wanted to create more healthful meals at home. And so the action was, if I cooked at home a certain number of nights per week for a certain length of time, then I would earn my kitchen tool, my KitchenAid stand mixer, to support that. So part of the tracking was, I tracked how many meals I had at home, but I also tracked how many times I wished I had that darn mixer. Because, you know, sometimes things seem cool till you get them, and then you're like, oh, this is too much trouble. Right? So I tracked how many times I actually wished I had it and would have used it in a certain way. And so I did. I met the goal. So, you know, I was wanting to eat better in that moment to lose some weight, but eating better helps us in our health in so many ways. And so I made the goal not about the weight, but about what I was actually doing. My purpose was to eat more healthfully. This tool could perhaps help me do that. And so I earned my mixer, right? So that's an example of something like that. It could be as simple as, I know I need to drink more water. So the purpose is to keep yourself hydrated so that you don't have health issues. The action is drinking water with some degree of consistency.
That's my goal.
Yeah. And it's got to be trackable, right? And so one of the things I have for you, and we can pass these out, is actually a habit tracker. They can pass them. And we'll talk about it in a minute, but I'll get them passed out now. So let's just dig in a little bit more. So purposeful, you know, does this goal help me create the person that I want to be? Does it align with my values? Actionable, what actions will you take? What will you do? Remember, be do. What is the smallest action that you can say, I was successful today? You know, maybe it's just I drank one whole glass of water before I had coffee this morning. That's the little place that you start, right? Maybe it's I want to go walking, so, you know, I have an iPhone, so my iPhone tells me everything I do. It tells me when to stand up for a break. You know, so maybe you increase your number of steps. You know, it's like one of the exercise things that's out there is you need to walk 10,000 steps a day to be healthy. Where do you think that came from? There's actually no real true science behind it. There was a Japanese company that made little digital pedometers, and the logo symbol that they used looked very much like the Japanese symbol for 10,000. So somebody assumed that it meant you should walk 10,000 steps. That's where 10,000 steps came from. So if you're only walking about 2,000 steps a day, 1,000 steps a day, is it realistic to really push yourself to do 10,000 tomorrow? Yeah, but maybe you can do another 100 or another 200. That's what I'm talking about. What's the minimum? You know, maybe you want to be somebody that goes to the gym. You know, I'm not talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe you just want to be somebody that goes to the gym. Well, then just go to the gym. That's all you have to do is just go. After a while, you're going to feel silly just standing around the lobby, and they're probably going to give you the sales pitch. And so maybe you'll get on the treadmill just because you feel guilty. So treadmill for 5 minutes, and then 6 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're that's what I'm talking about. Is we're getting really, really, really granular here, so that we just give little things, so that you can be consistent. You know, when I started my water goal, I did a 90-day challenge, and the goal was to drink 68 ounces of water, 8-ounce glasses, whatever the math is on that. 64 ounces, okay. So I always have 2 cups of coffee in the morning. And so I had my coffee, and then after that, I could only have water until I hit 64. Then I could have whatever I wanted. And what happened was, and I started tracking it, and I started tracking it on a little tracker like I just gave you all. And what I was finding is that I wasn't, my tracker though, each square was numbered, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I was losing track of the day of the week because it wasn't in a calendar format. And I was realizing that I was pretty consistently missing a day here or there. So I started putting the tracker on an actual calendar. I got an app that made it really easy. And I started putting the tracker on an actual calendar. And what I learned was, for some reason, Wednesday was a consistent day that I was not getting all my water. So instead of beating myself up, I had the opportunity then to look at what's going on Wednesday that's keeping me from my water. And I don't remember what it was. I think it was just something stupid, like I had stuff going on, and so I was hitting the ground running and not able to, not taking the time to stop. So that's the kind of thing that I want you to start to think about, and then track it, and don't make don't say it's for the whole year. Say it's for next month. If a month feels too long, just make it a week at a time. But what I want you to do, now, have you ever felt this way about your goals? It's the Nike swoosh, but sort of wobbly. It's like, when I kind of sort of want to do it, but not really. If you make your goals small enough that they're easy to do, like make them stupid easy, and give yourself a time frame that's reasonable, not a whole year, maybe a month, right? Then what will happen is that you will feel successful pretty quickly. And once you feel successful, then you feel like, oh, well, maybe I can try something else. Maybe I can try something else. And so, like for me with my water, I learned a couple of things about my Wednesday was a mess, and so I fixed that. But inside of about 2 weeks of just drinking 68 ounces of water, there's another thing out there that says you should take your body weight, divide it by 2, and that's the number of ounces. There's no science behind that either. No reliable science. So what started happening for me was, inside about 2 or 3 weeks, I started feeling like my joint aches and pains were not as much as they were. Like I was feeling like moving more, okay? Just from drinking water. I hadn't actually started moving more. I did insidiously because I felt like it, right? And it was just 68 ounces. It wasn't like, some people will tell you drink a gallon of water a day. No, that can be problematic too. So that's my whole point, is small goals. The other thing is I still prefer water over other drinks. I do have other things, but water is more of a go-to for me now instead of other stuff. So in your book is this list of some simple goals. So what I really want you to do is pick no more than 3. Like, they all sound kind of good, but pick no more than 3 to try. 1 is enough. So if you want to be a reader, read 10 pages of something that's not news. because that'll keep you up at night. Write down one thing that you're grateful for. You know, I've had people say, you know, because it's always, oh, write 3 things down every day or write 5 things down every day. And you get bored with it and you start writing the same thing over and over and over again. Maybe write 1 thing and 5 reasons why. That's a way to do it. Be quiet for 10 minutes. Drink your 64 ounces of water. Make your bed. Declutter one area for 20 minutes. Like, you don't have to do the whole house. You don't have to do the whole room. Just do one corner of the room. Put a timer on, only 20 minutes. Whatever's done is done. Then you can do it again tomorrow. Ponder an inspirational quote over coffee. One of the things I do, we all collect quotations that we love. One of the things I love to do is, I actually finally wrote a bunch of them down, put them in a jar. And I'll draw one out and read it as I'm sipping my coffee. Not Facebook, not news, not email. My quote. So, because I've collected them, they spoke to me in that moment for some reason, right? And it's amazing how somehow what you need tends to come out of that jar when you need it. You know, and so you can do that every day. Blow bubbles. You have bubbles now. Try not making any purchases other than consumables for a week, a month. I know, that's hard. Amazon's my best friend. My husband thinks I'm having an affair with the Prime delivery guy. Leave your phone in the kitchen at night. So you're not going to pick it up and, you know, go to sleep watching flashy things. Wake up in the middle of the night, grab your phone. I'm bad about that. Overlook one offense. If somebody said something or did something that hurt your feelings, how can you get past it? Can you forgive them? What do you need to do to get past it? You can start a wish list on Amazon. That's easy. That's real easy, yeah. Well, but you can like set up a list these are my rewards if I do my goals, and then maybe you get to go shopping from that wish list. That's an idea. Take 3 deep breaths 3 to 5 times a day. I mean, that's pretty simple. That's easier than getting water because all you have to do is breathe. We all do that every day, don't we? Right? I've seen research that says there was a group that was trying to help caregivers, family caregivers, not be so stressed, but they didn't want to add anything to their day. And so the research basically looked at what they could do. And what they found is just stopping and taking 3 deep breaths. So when you get to that point where you're going, you're sighing in your day, that's a clue that maybe let's just stop and take 3 deep breaths. Okay. And what they found at the end of the study was, they took their cortisol levels at the beginning and they did it for 6 weeks, and they took their cortisol levels at the end, and their cortisol levels were through the roof in the beginning, as you can imagine. The only thing that changed was they did like 3 deep breaths 3 to 5 times a day. The only thing that changed. Their cortisol levels now were down to normal. So something as simple as just doing that. Connecting with somebody, there's your friendship thing. It's like maybe the thing that you do is connect with one of them once a day or every other day or whatever feels right? Work on a new activity. So there's a lot of stuff in here that you can choose, or you can choose something else, right? But one of the things that I actually recently learned about small goals is that if you can improve just 1% every day, then over the course of a week, a month, a year, you're going to be a ton better. And the example that was given was, and I'm a great one for a deal, but I won't cross the street for a 10% discount if I have to find a coupon, So 1% is like nothing. But if you think about it, if you put it in the perspective of a pilot is flying a plane from LAX to New York, but he made just a 3-degree error in the calculation for the autopilot. What do you think is going to happen once they cross the country at 3 degrees off? They're going to land in Washington, D.C. Who wants to land in Washington, D.C.? Yeah, no, not me. So the point is that was 3 degrees and they went to a whole different place. So if you can do just 1% better every day, you're going to a whole new place, but a better place, a good place, right? Okay. So you've got note pages, which I'm sure you found. Here is your tracker. So this you can use to track 5 different goals. Each branch is got 30 leaves on it. We've got a well-groomed tree. So you can either do 3 or 5 different goals. You can do one goal like January, February, March, however you want to do it. I've got more of these if you want them. Just let me know as we go through the series. And homework. So do some more work on your be, do, have. Do some more work on your sympathy card if you want to. Create or pick 1 to 3 PAT goals. So that little list of goals, or make your own. And then start doing your tracking and have fun. Blow some bubbles, right? And then put next month's session on your calendar, which is going to be February 12th. Huh?
Could you go back to the list just a moment?
That? Or the list of goals? Questions? Thank you all for coming, and I look forward to seeing you next month.